podcast live from the Hive.
And we're rolling.
So hello and welcome to our latest Careers Talk as live from the Hive from Careers Worcestershire. So in this Careers Talk we're focusing on social care and support. So young adults across Worcestershire have sent in their questions which we're going to put forward to some of our Worcestershire businesses who are going to share their knowledge, advice and tips to support you in your career journey. Before we start, let's introduce our Worcestershire businesses that are going to be supporting you today.
My name's Shelley. I'm head of recruitment for a company called 𝗵𝗿𝗃𝗲 𝗪𝗃𝗃𝗃 and 𝗪𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃. We support mainly the elderly in their own homes so they can live independently and not go into a care home possibly.
I'm Simon. I work for Access Educational Provision based in 𝗕𝗶𝗵𝗃𝗲. I am their safeguarding and pastoral lead. We support young people who struggle with mainstream education, providing a nurturing approach to education provision.
I'm Laura. I work for 𝗨𝗿𝗵𝗃𝗲 and South Worcestershire Night Stop and Mediation. We support young people aged 11 to 25 who are experiencing homelessness, and we do that by trying to prevent homelessness through our mediation service, and we also work with volunteers who take young people into their homes on a short-term basis.
Hi, I'm David and I'm a lecturer at the University of Worcester, and we have a range of courses for people who are interested in working in the fields of health and social care.
Fantastic, thank you very much everyone for joining us today, and thank you to all our young adults who submitted a question for us as well, so let's get stuck in. So Shelley, if we start with you, what made you choose social care and support as a career choice?
Well, I didn't choose it. I went into admin first of all in health and social care about 20 years ago, and I've stayed in the sector probably because it's a great sector to work in. It's every day is different. You really do feel like you are making a difference and supporting someone to live independently in their own home.
Fantastic, thank you. And Simon, what made you choose social care and support?
A bit like Shelley, I didn't choose it. My parents were foster carers for the county when I was a very young age, which sort of led me into wanting to work with children, going through being a nursery teacher, sliding into family support with Sure Start, then going through social services, social care, housing, youth justice, youth work, until recently ended up in this position. I just really like working with young people that might not necessarily have a good relationship with education and the world around them, providing them with an opportunity to achieve what they can.
Great, thank you very much. And Laura, what made you choose social care and support?
Likewise, I think it chose me rather than I chose it. I currently work with homeless young people, but I've always had quite a strong interest in addiction and people with substance misuse issues, and there's a few friends of mine that were having those troubles in their lives, and it sort of led me to think, right, okay, I need a career change. And I was actually working at the Careers Service at Worcester Uni, and I was working there for around 8 years, and then decided that I would complete a degree in youth and community, which then started my journey to where I am now. I work for a substance misuse service in Worcester. Following on from finishing my degree, I then went on to work with homeless young people at Worcester City Council, and my journey's just continued from there, and I can only see it developing now with young people in homelessness.
Fantastic, thank you. And David, what made you choose social care and support?
Yeah, it's similar really. I wanted a career that involved working with people and hopefully making a positive impact on their lives, and there was an opportunity to study social work, and I thought it was a really good way of having that sort of interesting and varied work life really, that gave you those chances to get close to working directly with people and trying to do something to support them.
Fantastic, thank you. So if we move into a little bit about qualifications now, Simon, if we start with you, so what qualifications did you undertake to pursue your career?
So I did the bog standard of doing my GCSEs and doing my A-levels at a sixth form college. And initially I wanted to be a primary school teacher, but I didn't get the grades that I needed at A-levels to get into the teaching course, so I I wasn't very academic, so I went down the route of doing it in stages. So I did a higher national diploma, a HND, at Worcester Uni actually, when it was the University College Worcester. So I did that for 2 years in early childhood studies, and then topped it up after the 2 years. Did a 1 year top up degree to make it a degree, a BA degree. So that's where my qualifications are. I've got a BA Honours in early childhood studies.
Fantastic, thank you. And Laura, what qualifications did you undertake?
A bit like Simon, I didn't see myself as particularly academic, and I still don't, even though I've managed to get through a uni course. Done lots of admin and various qualifications in that area, including MVQs and things like that. And it was in my employment at the uni that led me to be able to do a degree, which is when I sort of undertook the youth and community course, and now I've got a BA Honours in that, which enables me to do my job.
Thank you. And Shelley, what qualifications did you undertake?
None to begin with, but through my progression through care, I've done my level 5 diploma in leadership and management. I've done my care certificate. I've actually learnt on the job and progressed as I've got along my way. So now head of recruitment from an admin assistant. So yeah, I learnt it on the job.
Fab, thank you. And David, what qualifications did you undertake?
Yeah, so I mean, to train to be a social worker, that's a degree level qualification. Some people do study that at master's degree. So I did a degree in applied social studies, and then went on to do a master's degree later on in my career. But for for people thinking about careers in social care, there's lots of opportunities for entry points at different levels.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Laura, what do you enjoy most about your role?
I like to be able to help people. I think that's quite natural in my nature, and working for Night Stop, it enables me to do that. Something I have learned throughout this career path is that you can't help everyone, and you think that when you go into it you're going to make a difference to every single person's lives, but you don't. But the ones you do make a difference to, that really is rewarding, and it does give you that feel-good factor afterwards, and you can always know that you made a difference to someone.
Thank you. David, what do you enjoy most?
Well, I mean, as a university lecturer, you're working with young people often at the start of their sort of career pathway. And the most gratifying thing really is seeing people develop and mature and then move off hopefully into professional practice, into areas of the sort of social care world that they want to work in. When I was in practice, I think one of the things that I enjoyed the most was the variety of types of work that I was able to do. You know, I can honestly say that, you know, the sort of 20 years nearly that I was a social worker, I didn't really have a time where I was bored or disinterested. It was always fresh and new and challenging.
Fantastic, thank you. Shelley, what do you enjoy most?
Although I'm head of recruitment, I love going out and supporting the elderly. So I love going to care for them and making a difference. In the office is great as well. No 2 days are the same. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And Simon, what do you enjoy most?
I think building the relationships and working with the young people, seeing them engage with education, engage with conversation about what motivates them, what they aspire to do. I laugh a lot in my job, which is lovely. Get the mickey taken out of me quite a bit, which is enjoyable for them. But yeah, no, it's just building the relationships, working with, I work with a really great team who are all focused on sort of child-centred aspirational achievement for the young people we work with, which is really satisfying.
Fab, thank you. Shelley, what are some of the main challenges that you face in your role, and how have you overcome them?
I guess as head of recruitment, recruiting carers into the sector has been a huge challenge with Brexit and COVID, and just getting the getting over to people that it is a career to come into health and social care. You can have a fantastic career, and being a carer isn't just being a carer. and the progression through the health and social care sector is massive. I started as an admin person. I've headed a large recruitment team. And it's a great sector to work in.
Fab, thank you. Simon, what are some of the main challenges that you face and how have you overcome them?
I suppose in this role, some of the main challenges is young people's self-esteem and self-confidence. I think most of the time they can be their own worst enemy and they get in their own way because they don't think they can achieve, they don't think they can accomplish stuff because the circumstances beyond their control. That can be a challenge, and I think like Laura said, at that time you might not change it for that young person at that moment, but I think at some point in their life it will click. But yeah, that can be quite challenging when you're trying to change an outlook that's been established for quite a while, because they've got that self-talk in their head of they're not going to do much or they're not going to be able to achieve.
I mean, working for 𝗨𝗏𝗏𝗏, we're a low-risk organisation, so we find a lot more people coming through our doors with more complex needs that we're not able to sort of accommodate. So when someone's coming to us and saying they're homeless, we have to sort of make that decision as to whether they're suitable and safe to place with our volunteers in their home. So having signposting agencies and pathways for those young people is becoming more challenging, and we are finding ourselves taking on higher risk young people to make sure that they're not on the streets in the evenings. Another thing, working for a charity, funding streams are always really difficult and challenging because we're always kind of singing for our supper, as it were, and applying for the next, thinking about the next few years of our organisation to make sure that the funding's there to pay the staff and continuing to run the businesses. So yeah, there's always lots of challenges within charities, and I think that what's already been said in the room today is that it really is no 2 days are the same, and you never know what you're doing from one day to the next. You know, today I've been over to 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 to do a drop-in session, and now I'm here doing this. So who knows what I'll be doing next week? It's a great way to feel, you know, when you're not sat behind a desk all day.
Thank you. And David, what are some of the main challenges that you faced and how have you overcome them?
I think I'd probably echo what 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗃 has said, which is it has been a difficult time in the health and social care, within the whole of the public sphere really, over recent years. And the challenge for us, I think, is trying to get that message out there to young people that there are really interesting, varied careers there working in this setting, and trying to sort of sell it as an opportunity to you know, develop and progress and do something that you're really interested in. And I think that, you know, like other colleagues have said on the panel, that there's a great deal of variety and challenge and reward working in this setting. So that's the message that we've sort of struggled to get across at times, but we have to keep working at it, I think.
Thank
I
you.
think, sorry to echo what Dave said, the conversations I have with young people, they go, a lot of the people that I went to uni with have gone off to do teaching because that's the progression they've gone. I think I'm the only person from my cohort that went into social care purely through happenstance, but I think it is that going, well, if I do a social work degree, I have to do social work. It's like, well, no, you can go into different bits. I'm a qualified nursery teacher. Then I went into nursery teaching, and then I'm now a pastoral and safeguarding lead for kids who are 13, 15, 16. It's such a, you don't have to go in at one level, you can diversify, like you said, you can go into different bits and pieces. It's quite...
I think you have to look for the jobs, don't you? You have to seek them out. They're not always there at the top of the list when you're looking for social care jobs. You've got to kind of have a look through and rifle through them a little bit to find the ones that you actually might suit you a bit better.
I mean, the other thing that I'd add, if you take social work as discipline as well, not many people really know what social workers do, and they might have some perception that it involves working with children. But one of the things that, you know, we try and do is tell prospective students that actually, you know, if you become a social worker, you could work in with people with learning disabilities, you could work with older people, people with physical disabilities, you could work with children, with young offenders. Well, I spent, you know, nearly all of my career working in mental health settings, so that there's that enormous sort of variety, you know, within the profession itself.
Fantastic, thank you. David, if we come back to you, what are some of the skills and traits you think young people need to work in social care?
Well, I think it is a sort of altruistic field, I think. So I think people kind of inside them have to have that commitment to want to make a positive contribution to people's lives and to build relationships. I think if you were describing careers in health and social care, you would say they're kind of relationship-based careers, where your skills aren't tools that you pick up often. They're about how you interact with people, how you communicate with people, trying to use skills like empathy, warmth and kindness, or sometimes be able to have tough and difficult conversations as well. So it's about character and relationships, really, the things that are probably most important. Some of the other learning that you have to do if you're studying at a university is what you can work at, and you can get there in the end through hard work. But if you've got that sort of approach in your personality to want to work directly with people, that's the primary thing, I think.
Fantastic, thank you. Laura, any skills and traits that you'd like to add?
I'll just echo what's already been said, but I also think in all the work that I do, I like to think that I go with a non-judgmental approach, which is easier said than done because we all have an initial judgment on someone or something, but it's allowing that young person to feel like they're not being judged when they come to us. And I don't think everybody can do these jobs. I think you have to have a certain type of personality to want to do them, and always have an open mind.
Fantastic, thank you. Simon, any skills and traits that you'd like to add?
On top of what's already been mentioned, I'd probably say resilience. I think we all had those tough conversations and had things said to us that a non-social care, health care based profession would make you go into a corner and cry due to the severity of what can be said to you. So resilience, empathy, that ability to, like David said, to relate with another person, a sense of humour, because again I think that helps with relating to building that relationship. If you can find a common ground to have a laugh on, it helps ease the tension, it helps build that connection. I think that's all I can add on to that was already been said.
I'll just add on to that, sorry. In our offices, we've all got dogs and we're allowed to bring them to work, and with the young people that we work with, that we don't always take them all in at once. It's not a dog place, but we've often got one in the office. And what we find helps with young people is if we go on a dog walk and they actually sort of might start talking to the dog, or you get a little bit more from them in some situations. So having that kind of platform will always help as well.
Two of our members of staff who've got dogs, and they bring them in sort of on a Thursday, and the change in the students we have is they sit on the sofa and just stroke the dog, and you just see them relax, and that's when you can sort of get a good conversation with them. So having a dog helps.
Having a dog helps,
It's really interesting, thank you. And Shelley, any skills and traits that you want to add?
Exactly the same. What we say is if you've got a caring heart, we can teach you the rest. If you've got compassion, empathy, then we can teach you infection control, health and safety, all of that, but we can't teach you to be caring.
I think probably one of the things that would be in common with all of our work environments is it's a team working business. You don't find in health and social care settings that you work autonomously and independently. You have to collaborate and work with others. And that gives you a great deal of pleasure in your work, the fact that you're working in partnership, and you can use those relationships to try and make those positive contributions.
Fantastic.
And I think with the types of people that we deal with, you quite often need to sort of have a colleague or a team to talk to someone after the session, because it can be quite a challenging time and you might need to just offload that a little bit for yourself. So really important to have a good team behind you or around you.
And even wider, I think even going wider than that, the other professionals you might work with, like looking at multi-agency working, you'll end up not only building relationships with the people that you're supporting, but having that common language and relationship with other professionals who'll be looking at other bits for maybe that young person or that adult with learning difficulties, or a person at home who's struggling to live independently. You have to have those communications with health professionals, because we do end up being a jack of all trades but master of none. So you go, what does this condition mean, and how do I help sort them out, or how do I help them sort of maintain independence? I think if you try to know everything, your brain would explode.
That's really useful, thank you. Shelley, if we come back to you, is there anything that you've experienced that you didn't expect from your careers choice?
I don't think so. Although I've been in the sector, probably, as I said, about 20 years, and I've always been in the office. So it was nice to finally come to 𝗕𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗲 Care and actually do care. So I now can do personal care, medication. So that's been great to do that, but probably no, not that I can think of.
Fab, thank you. Simon, anything you've experienced that you didn't expect from your career choice?
If you'd have asked me 15 years ago when I started, probably quite a bit, but I think, what didn't I expect? I'd tell you, I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I have. I think when I started out, I didn't, like I said, didn't expect to be in this sort of career, but I don't think I'd go back. I think I'd go back to that young man and go, you know what, teaching probably isn't for you. This is going to be more fulfilling for you and more enjoyable. So I think that was something that I didn't expect, is to enjoy it and to, not sounding big-headed, but to be good at it.
Great, thank you. Laura, what have you experienced that you didn't expect from your career choice?
Like I said at the start of this, I feel like this career path found me more than I found it, and it's something I do feel, like Simon said, I feel like I am quite good at it, and I feel like I'm constantly developing, and there's so much more to come for me in this area. So no big surprises, but just really found something that I thoroughly enjoy, and that, you know, going to work isn't a stress or a struggle. It's you know, you get up every day and you go, and you never know what's coming at you. So I really enjoy that side of it.
Fab, thank you. David, what have you experienced that you didn't expect from your career choice?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to do a kind of profession in public services, whatever that happens to be, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, nursing, or something like social work, you kind of think that's what you're going to do. And I think one of the things that surprised me is that you don't end up where you start, and you've got opportunities to kind of build your career and develop into different areas and do different sorts of work. So one of the things that I did, for example, was spent some time as a manager in the NHS, and that was really interesting, working on developing services and supporting staff to deliver mental health care. And I wouldn't have anticipated doing that when I first started practice. So I think that the message from that for me to young people is that you know, your career is something you can kind of build and progress as you go along, really. According to what you enjoy and what you find you kind of get the most pleasure and value out of.
Fantastic, thank you. Laura, what was the best advice you were given when it came to starting your career journey?
I'm not sure I was given any specific advice, other than my mum saying, do you really know what you're doing? But I did take a leap of faith when I started my degree in my early 30s, after a big life change. So it was my own advice really, is to give it a go, and I did, and I'm so glad I did, because I remember my mum saying, is it really worth that degree? Is it really worth doing it? And it really was, because straight out of uni, I finished my job with 𝗕𝗵𝗲𝗛𝗃𝗲𝗄, the drug and alcohol charity, and I went straight into that young person's homeless officer at Worcester City Council, and that's then propelled me to being the homelessness prevention lead at Night Stop. So I've always wanted to be a manager, and it's took me to that position, and I can only see that sort of developing and growing more. So yeah, that's kind of where I feel with that question.
Thank you. Simon, what was the best advice that you were given when it came to starting your career journey?
I think it resonated with what you said about you won't make a difference all the time. And I think I had shared with me a story. It's about starfish on a beach. If you think about doing this job, I'd recommend looking it up. Can't remember the name of the quote or the story off the top of my head. but it's about an older gentleman walking along a beach and saving starfish, and a younger person going, "You're not going to be able to save them all." Picks one up, chucks it into the sea, goes, "I made a difference to that one." That really stood out. And then aha moments from one of my uni lecturers going, "You'll come across something and then it will just click that what you've read, what you've learned will stick in your mind, and then that you'll go, I know what to do with it," and you'll run with it, and it may not always go the way you planned, it may sort of divert, but yeah, aha moments and starfish. Those are the two things.
Thank you. Shelley, what was the best advice you were given when it came to starting your journey?
So I don't think I was given much advice. I think never underestimate yourself. I wasn't academic at all, and then going through work that pushed me. I graduated in my late 20s, did leadership and management, and then I never thought I'd head a recruitment department, and yeah, just never underestimate yourself.
Fantastic, thank you. David, what was the best advice you were given when it came to starting your career journey?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say advice, I'd probably say more the people that I had around me at the start of my career, those more senior colleagues who've got a bit more experience than you, and that kind of mentorship and support and encouragement that they give you, because starting any kind of career or profession is challenging, and you can have moments where it's difficult and things that you find hard, but I think it's having those colleagues around you to help you through those sorts of difficulties, and there are those sorts of people in health and social care for sure.
Fantastic, thank you. And David, can you tell us a little bit more about what courses are on offer for the university for those that might be interested in social care and support?
Yeah, so I mean, and as a university, I'd probably say one of our biggest specialisms is what we probably describe as the sort of public sector professions. So working in across the sort of health and social care domain. So my school, which is a School of Allied Health and Care, has a number of courses that can lead people to work in those settings. So we're in an occupational therapy degree, we've got social work programmes, physiotherapy training, and we also have different entry points for people at coming from different places. So if someone, for example, hasn't gone and done a first degree, or they haven't particularly got a good academic foundation, we run foundation degree programs, and that gives people the chance to study in an area that they're interested in, and then start to move towards a degree or a profession. So we run a health and social care foundation degree, and there's pathways into working child and adolescent mental health. So I mean, the best advice I think for people is that they can look at University of Worcester website, think about what they're interested in, and the website will sort of guide you how you can sort of move into that career area really.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And does anyone have any final words of advice that they'd like to put to our young adult viewers today?
Just go for it. If you think that you want to help people, that maybe you've been helped by someone, maybe you are someone who's had support and gone, you know what, I want to do that for someone else. Playing it forward, I think, is a better way to describe it. I've been helped, I want to do the same, because it made me feel good. I understood the impact it had on me. I can do that for other people. Using the experiences that you've had to drive that, I think is another one. I've worked with people who were in the looked after system who've gone on to be looked after support workers, or gone to work in the residential children's service, because they're going, you know what, I had that one worker or a series of workers that did really well for me. I'm going to take that and play it forward. I think that's, yeah, we've all had bits and pieces in our lives that will influence our drive for wanting to do this sort of work.
I mean, I think I would say, social care isn't necessarily the kind of sector that people think about necessarily, one of the first things they think about when they're young. But I think, as all of us would attest, there are great careers out there that you can legitimately make a big difference to people's lives, and with that come the rewards of feeling the value of what you're trying to achieve. And it's such a broad area as well. There's such a different range of things that you can do. You don't have to just stick to one area across your career, as I'm sure we on the panel have done as well. But so I would say, if you think you're that sort of person who likes working with others, likes being a team player, likes working on a kind of relationship one-to-one basis with people, then look at social care as a career and think, could this be the right environment for me?